Hey, you chose to bring her up here. Are you aware that they all just tried to incinerate her?
She can control the other hosts with her fucking mind!
This season, Maeve has grown so very powerful. She's found a way to access the mesh network and control the other hosts. The one thing that she can't control is humans, and they have captured her.
She's being tortured because they're trying to discover what it is that is allowing her to control other hosts.
Within that sequence, her neck has been cut from the outside of the ear all the way down to the clavicle, exposed muscle tissue inside. Within that, they've put in a bunch of wiring, and you can imagine that they're trying to find a way to tap into her system.
The prosthetics were brilliant, and it's a fascinating process. It takes a long, long time.
She's in our trailer for a couple hours just to get in where her neck is filleted open, her arm is filleted open.
Most of the time, anything that's hyper-realistic, it'll be a medical food-grade silicone, which gives you, one, the haptics, it feels like real skin, and then two, it has a bit of translucency like real skin does, so it reads on camera just like real skin.
That whole sequence of her suffering on the table breaks your heart.
That's close enough, Bernard. She will search your mind and find a message I have left her.
Ford has implanted himself in Bernard. Maeve accesses Ford's consciousness through searching Bernard's mind.
Maeve is laid out, mutilated, close to death, and Ford would come almost like an apparition.
What have they done to you, Maeve?
It's a scene of vulnerability for Ford as well as Maeve, because he confesses, "You were always my favorite." And you realize he tried to chart a path for her escape.
Even in the face of being able to go out into the real world, Maeve chose the love of her daughter over that, and that surprises Ford.
I had a different story in mind for you. Stella underestimated you.
A big theme of the whole season is the way that love and the emotional connections that these hosts were given as part of their narratives were a function of their waking up. Maeve is completely pulled the cover on this thing. She knows that all of her attributes were given to her by designers. She knows that her narratives are written by human beings, and yet she's not going to give up the story of her daughter. She's going to reclaim it.
You stayed here in this world to save your child. So have I.
Ford's a literal ghost at this point. Some form of him has stuck around to guarantee that the prospect of their survival and their freedom is carried out.
He's realized, as a father of a creation, that you cannot dictate the course of your children's lives. And so he tells her he just needed to give her the freedom to make her own choices. And in doing that, he gives her one last parting gift, which is he turns her mesh network back on.
Hey, Vali here. So, are you a big movie fan? Well, stay with me as I have some cool random facts for you. Due to a miscommunication on set in The Hateful Eight, Kurt Russell accidentally smashed an antique guitar from 1870 instead of a prop. The dog who played Toto in The Wizard of Oz received a higher salary than most of the people who played Munchkins. And lastly, Michael Caine was so terrified of Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight that he forgot his lines in the first scene they shot together. Did you notice any behind-the-scenes action? Stuntmen and women have been around for a long time, stepping in for various scenes. Now, the first Hollywood stuntman was ex-US cavalryman Frank Hanaway, who was cast in The Great Train Robbery from 1903 for his ability to fall off a horse without hurting himself. The first Hollywood stuntwoman was Helen Gibson, who doubled for Helen Holmes in the first 26 episodes of The Hazards of Helen from 1914. She was trained as a trick rider and married to cowboy star Hoot Gibson. Well, did you know that only 3 movies have swept all 5 major Academy Awards, winning for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director and Best Screenplay Adaptation? The first was Frank Capra's It Happened One Night from 1934, starring Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert. The second movie is Milos Forman's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest from 1975, starring Jack Nicholson and Louise Fletcher. And the third movie is Jonathan Demme's Silence of the Lambs from 1991, starring Sir Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster. Ghouls are common in the making of all movies, and according to the Movie Mistakes website, the movies with the most ghouls are Apocalypse Now with 390, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban has 296, another Harry Potter movie, The Chamber of Secrets, has 289, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace has 276 and 67. Okay, so yes, let's get it right. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace has 267, and The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring has 2000, and The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring has 262. Yeah. Did you know the shortest performance to win an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor was Anthony Quinn's 8-minute Tour de Force as Gauguin in the 1956 movie Lust for Life? Meanwhile, the shortest performance to win an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress was Beatrice Strait's 5 minutes and 40 seconds performance in the 1976 film Network. Yes! Well, looks like a bit both of them. So if anyone from the Academy is watching, you know where to find me. Oh, by the way, my name is Valeria. Now, remember, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. See ya!